Okay,
Alrighty,
we are
this is the International Outreach Committee meeting for March the 21st of 2021. So, on today's agenda, my apologies, introductions. We have myself, and I am the chair of this committee. And in attendance, we have Marcus Ruiz Evans, who holds position as president of Yes California and the Congress. But he is also here as a member, as an average, ordinary, everyday, you and me, Joe or Jane Schmo, to help provide input. So today's agenda will be talking about the embassies, how to build embassies, these California cultural centers. I would like to run some exercises as far as listing out nations that we as individuals and possibly also as an organization would like to see involved in this embassy program. Lists the nations that have reached out so far that are wanting, or at least have citizens who are wanting this. I'd like to go over some of the requirements or needs in relation to opening and operating these embassies. I would like to discuss some of the different media marketing angles that we might take, such as, and this is, including but totally not limited to, showcasing California goods in the California Embassy abroad and showcasing their perspective goods and cultural stuff, everything that could inspire people to want to visit our friends, right? To showcase these things in their perspective embassy here in California. Again, that's an example, totally not limited to that one thing. So I would like to discuss all sorts of different things like that. Hot ideas, we could call them. Also, potential media spins. What angle or angles, if any, would we like to spin with it? What do we want to control a narrative and make sure that our point is 100% clear from the beginning? Or do we really just kind of leave that up in the air and just get to work? Along with that comes, do we foresee any potential angles being taken against our embassies, our organization? So this is the agenda. We may not get to it all as we're already a little bit late due to technical issues, but we will get as far through it as we can. So with that, pardon the scratchy throat. It's so fallen heavy right now. Allergies are kicking up. Embassy building. Marcus, if it is possible, is there some sort of screen sharing thing you could do to play that, what is it, 1 or 2 minute long video that you did that I love so much about the embassies?
We don't have screen sharing, but I can go grab the URL and paste it directly into the video so people can see the URL and look it up themselves. Let me find that real quick.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. 1 second. Please don't go back to the same thing. It'll just take me a minute to, of course, always goes to this one link. I don't know why it does that.
I had put it into the WhatsApp chat.
Yeah, it'll just, because I'm not on my phone and I'm on my laptop, I have to take it from my phone, transfer it over to my laptop and grab it. And it's just give me 1 second, I'll have it up. Where I'm at, the internet is not the greatest. So I'm doing the best I can. And I need just another minute and I'll get that video. If you want to talk about the video while I'm trying to find it.
Yeah, if you don't mind. So again, I love that video. I think still think to this day that you did an awesome job on that. It explains very well what these cultural embassies are and what they aren't. It explains how to reach out to us to let us know that there is interest, as well as how to go about starting it. So ultimately, I think it's really a very valuable little resource. I'm also working on putting together what I'm gently referring to as a basic minimum, a layout of, kind of how you say it could be a broom closet with some posters hanging, right? To get something actually written out and, showing a basic minimum. Like, here's how easy it is. Here's all you have to do. So they've got it in video form. They'll have it in a written kind of business plan format as well, like full breakdown. And then with that, a lot of these things that we'll be discussing, they will also be included into that. Like if we decide, showcasing goods on both ends is a great thing to do, then the business plan will include that.
Interesting. There it is. The video is called How to Open a Yes California Embassy in a Foreign Nation. It's on YouTube, and there is the link. I'll also post it to private chat for anybody that's interested. Unfortunately, Zoom is also having issues with showing videos. It used to do it very well. Now it's all sorts of issues. I'm not totally sure what that's about. And StreamYard doesn't do it. So kind of a little bit of difficulty at this moment being able to show videos inside a video. So I'll be working on that technical issue.
Yeah. It seems the AI gods may not like the forced inception.
Yeah.
The joke.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Forced inception. Haha.
So, do you have any nations that you would like to see us reach out to? Like, and you know, I'll do this once to be extra clear, just for this video. But obviously not the nation's governments, people of the nation, namely nonprofits that might be interested in this, right? However, we are just going to name national origin of said things. We'll get into what organizations they might be later on. Right now, just national origin. Are there any nations you'd like to see us reach out to?
Europe, any European nations. So if you can get traction with any European country, it seems to have a great deal of respect. I would say Scotland would be the easiest one, simply because they're pushing for independence and they're kind of popular in Europe. Additionally, we did have inroads with Alex Salmond. John Simha was able to reach out to Alex Salmond and almost got us on the Alex Salmond show. We've also been featured in Scottish news 5 times. Scottish people love the fact that Yes California is based upon the Yes Scotland campaign. So I would say your best bet is Scotland. And for somebody who would actually return recognition or something, or be willing to even talk about the idea of an independent California. And that would be huge because they're European. After them, I would say Catalonia, but Catalonia has, they're under a lot of legal pressure right now. And Europe is much more cautious in supporting them versus Scotland. After that, New Caledonia. New Caledonia, Caldonia, is another country that's pursuing independence and very likely will get it. They're in the Oceania region near Australia or something like that, French territory, but want to become independent and very likely could pull it off. They've had a couple votes. They're sort of recognized around the world. They are probably going to become a country, and they are, because of the situation where they're trying to pursue independence, it'd probably be a good shot that they may respond there. As far as embassies, I also think that if we're pursuing embassies, a point that you brought up or someone did, indigenous lands, indigenous people who are able to say that they're independent and have an embassy. It's big.
Yeah, you're right. That was me that brought that up.
Okay, yeah.
I'll go ahead and take the backpack for that one.
Yeah, it was a good idea. So you have the Lakota in the Midwest and the Navajo in Arizona, and both of them have talked about how they were going to pursue independence. If they had an embassy for an independent California there, that would also be huge. So I'm suggesting likely candidates who are big enough that they could get international media for having that embassy, but are going through some sort of independence obstacle right now, and so would be sympathetic to reaching out to California independence. My other idea is that besides embassies, I think we can do a lot with resolutions, but I'll wait. The embassies is certainly a great idea. It's easy to do, and anyone can do it.
Yeah, and the international issues part with the International and Domestic Issues Committee, that's the resolution.
Good point. Never mind. Good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
This one's a little more on the tangible action side, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I may have a totally.
No, you got it right. Yeah. Yeah, totally right.
Okay.
Right. So this is specifically international outreach versus the international and domestic issues
Yeah.
committee.
Which is also international outreach. However, uh, that one is dealing specifically with all the issue stuff, and we're mainly going to deal with how to reach out. And so, if the international issues, well, now international and domestic issues committee says, hey, we have a mandate for reaching out to all Central and Southern American nations and people to let them know that we don't agree with this whole kids in cages or shipping containers or whatever. Like, uh, treating kids horrifically. We don't agree with it.
Right. Not okay.
And, this is an example that actually works because we did just actually decide on that, right? So now we could actually say, hey, there is a mandate to reach out. And then we figure out how to reach out.
Yeah.
I would actually like to make that next week. Like next week, I want it to be all about that. I'm also hoping I'm going to extend our friends in Baja an invite, and hoping that they might be able to come in and join in, because that's very international outreach. Right?
You want Baja to come and join in with what?
With next week's International Outreach Committee meeting. To discuss.
Good idea.
Because next week's meeting, I would like to be all about reaching out to all Central and Southern American nations to let them know that we do not agree with treating kids in horrific manner, and really to discuss how we could go about this. How should we go about this, right? That's what the meeting's going to be.
That's sex.
But it's only going to be that topic.
Very smart. That's very clever. You took a resolution to Congress and then you used it as a base platform for outreach to other countries. Excellent. That's definitely an international outreach project. Well conceived, man. I didn't see that at all. Well done. That's impressive.
That was just my read on things. Like, the international issues has a resolution. If Congress accepts it and says, yes, we all agree with that, then the international outreach has a mandate to go and do something based on that resolution.
Yeah, that would follow.
Since that was just passed or accepted by Congress today, and I'm pretty sure we have till like Wednesday, right? Wednesday evening to finalize vote on that.
Yeah. Yeah, we're conducting a vote now and over the next 2 days.
Yeah. And given that we've got overwhelming support for it already, and no one saying no, don't discuss that, it kind of is one of the few times I'm feeling it's safe to assume that this will pass.
I'm pretty sure we'll pass too. Which
is why I'm not going to do it this week, but I want it to be next week is going to be all about
that. Finding some way to reach out to Latin American countries and get them to know, yes, California is brilliant. That's definitely international outreach. It's this total separate platform or front that you could launch independent from the embassies. The other one is, you have them, which you're already moving on. You have someone from an international group, an international separatist movement, come and speak to Yes California. So there's embassies, there's reaching out to countries and letting them know, Calex, it's a different way of looking at things in the future. And then there's the which you also suggested of, like we did with having the Texas nationalist movement come and speak, and the South Africa independence movement, and the Movimiento de Independencia de Baja. 3 different international groups came, and we never really like signed a partnership or anything. They just came and spoke, but it was huge. So if you can get any international separatist group to come and speak, that's also winning. That's definitely international outreach.
Yeah, well, and I did give my commitment live there on recorded video that as, head of international outreach, I will be reaching out to them. I will be working with them to help to ensure that this project gets seen through to fruition.
Yeah. Yeah.
So back to the topic. So I hear you saying, as far as list of nations that you'd like to see, pretty much anything in Europe, but definitely Scotland. And I wholeheartedly agree. I love First Minister Sturgeon. Oh my goodness. I cannot say the word love enough when I'm talking about her. Like, she's just so awesome. And like powerful women leaders, and women leading and proving that they don't have to bow down and accept someone else's will in order to actually lead, right? No false leadership. She sets an amazing example for the world, but also really makes me hopeful that, like, I won't have to dig too far back into history to one day, if I ever have kids and have a daughter, right, to give my daughter an example of a woman hero who she really could look up to.
Right.
A woman who's smart and powerful, who stands up there, courageously in front of a lot of adversity, a whole lot.
Yeah.
And you got the whole British Empire, the weight of the crown coming up against you for just trying to pursue your actual right to govern yourself. And she still does it. She gets up every morning and she goes to work and she does it. And she's not doing it for glory for herself. She's doing it for her people and for her country. Like, oh my God. I want to cry. I'm so inspired. So yes, Scotland for sure. I've actually already looked into a couple of different nonprofits. I'll go ahead and say Wings Above Scotland has been suggested to me by someone who is a voting party member of the SNP, Scottish National Party, which is the party that is in power, 98% majority, I think, in Scotland, headed under our beloved and their beloved First Minister Sturgeon. I mean, she may not be our leader, but we can still love her too, right?
That's true. Yes, we can. Si se puede.
Yeah, si se puede. So I hear Catalonia as well, and we had talked with was his name Pedro?
Yeah. Yes, it was.
From Catalonia. Yeah. Okay. I am so surprised I actually remember that because I'm so horrible with names.
Pep Padro. Pep Pablo or Pep Padro with Catalonia.
Oh man. Now I'm okay. Well, now I feel really bad.
It's fine.
Either way, we've already had someone from Catalonia coming out and reaching out and letting us know that they are aware of our cause and our mission. And yes, California. I've personally been reaching out to the Catalonian folks and supporting them on like Twitter and whatnot. Pretty much since they started their push for independence, like, well, I mean, they've always had it, much like California, but you know, this last round, kind of like us, right? this one that's still going, hasn't stopped. That was kind of when I started following along. And I because of that did see how much they were abiding by the legal people and the actual like police state authorities of Spain were going and like, I mean, it's hard to say, but it has to be said. They were cracking open old grannies and grandpas' heads with nightsticks, billy clubs.
Yes, they were.
Yeah. Oh wow, you do get screen share.
I'm seeing if I can make it work.
This message is to anybody who's interested in opening an embassy.
Is that showing on StreamYard?
Yeah, the audio's coming through too.
When yes, California agreed to have an embassy in Moscow, what we did was a couple things. Number one is that we had worked with a nonprofit in Russia that was not the Russian government. They had received some funding and they had some ties to the Russian government, but they were not with the Russian government and were distinct. That allowed us to give the impression of interacting with people who are okay with the Russian government, but not actually interacting with anybody in the Russian government. And what we did was not actually open an embassy, we opened a cultural center. And we framed it as not from the Russian government to California, but really the people of California to the people of Russia. So it was a cultural center explaining California culture to the people of Russia, people to people, not government to government. And it was not an embassy, it was a cultural center that had photographs of visiting California and a giant banner that said Independent Republic of California. So if you could have a room, one room that's like a museum, where you have a banner that says Independent Republic of California, and then a series of photos and pictures that showcase different cities in California or our unique culture here in America, then you're halfway there to having a cultural center. If it's run by a nonprofit in that country, and it appears as though people in that country are saying that we like the idea of an Independent Republic.
Okay. Jason, are you still with me?
Yeah, I just had my mic muted, no background noise came through.
Did that show the video?
Yep, video showed, the audio was good, especially once you turned it up after a couple seconds there. I noticed you turned it up. It was perfect. It was crystal clear. It was awesome.
Okay, well, you saw it there. That's how to open a Yes California embassy in a foreign nation. There's the link. We just showed you a clip from the video there. And it turns out we can show that. The button for screen sharing is available. So, sorry, Jason, I didn't mean to distract. I just, you were asking for that video. And
I had asked you if you could, and you finally got it going. That was perfect.
It was awesome.
Yeah. So I just to keep it on topic. Sorry. So I hear you also say Indigenous nations sounds like a great idea. I'm glad to know that there is support for that, and you gave the references of the Lakota Sioux and the Navajo. Both of those nations we could have some mutual benefit of recognition going between us potentially if they would be willing.
Exactly.
I would like to take some of this to, and obviously we're still going to cover more, but I would like to take some of this, like, reaching out to Scotland through the, I believe it's Wings Over Scotland organization, as well as the Lakota Sioux and Navajo nations. And then obviously continued outreach to Catalonia. New Caledonia, I have actually been seeing some of the geographic videos that I watch. Not National Geographic, obviously, but because, subscription. But stuff on YouTube that's free to watch.
Yeah.
When they're covering things, I do notice on maps here and there, New Caledonia. I watch a channel, and I'm going to go ahead and say the name because it's a great channel. It's wholesome, it's fun and friendly for all ages, and it's very informative. Also, Matt Groening, the creator of The Simpsons, it turns out, him and his son actually both love Ants Canada channel as well. And the guy is a biologist and mainly deals with ants and ant colonies, keeping and observation, whatnot. But he has other things, spiders, amphibians, reptiles, you name it. Former French control. So maybe France might even be in line with them, because France is actually, they turned around from the whole empire thing and said, like, we need to not do that, which I commend them for. I believe under Macron, they actually even let go of the last of their holdings in the continent of Africa, if memory serves correctly. I remember I read something about that they were like finally letting it go.
Well, that might be an opportunity then. I mean, if there's any sort of outreach with New Caledonia and it goes well, then that might be a way to get the message into France. And France appear to be the good guy. That's why they've been very kind of just tacitly accepting the votes in New Caledonia, although it's not exactly what they want. They'd like to keep the property there, but they don't want the bad image. And so reaching out to New Caledonia might be a way to get France to recognize the compatibility of California's separation from America. I think that's where you're going. Good thinking.
Yeah, because ultimately, I mean, there are things that people want, and then there's what's right. And sometimes those two line up. It's just, what do you want? And if what you want is what is right, what is just, then you're only ever going to look like a good guy. And people are going to be more willing to support you.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Even if you got some crazy idea, like, declaring your own independence. So some of the nations that I would like to see, you said anywhere in Europe, pretty much. I very specifically have contacts in Finland, and would like to. Now, my friend personally is not really much of the political type. He's a very private person, and I respect his privacy. I do think I may be able to reach out through him to find some sort of nonprofit that may be into this, though. And I would like to be able to extend that connection. Finland has some actually like old history here in California. The town that I call my hometown, Rockland, in Placer County. Still to this day, the town hall is Finnish Temperance Hall. Originally, the township was founded by Finnish folk who owned most of the mining area where all that beautiful, beautiful granite comes from. Super white, sparkly. They fell into some hard times with substance abuse, addiction. And rather than people do some kind of modern maneuver where they let people go bankrupt and then buy a business for $1 rather than, help the person out and help them stay in business so the whole town thrives. Well, that's exactly what they did. Was they rallied around these people who were brothers and sisters from a foreign nation, whatever, but everyone in that town was from foreign nations of varying sorts. And the people that were kind of the backbone of the township were going through some hard times. And rather than just let them fall into ruin, the town's people actually rallied around them, helped them, supported them, made sure that they were okay, and then renamed their own town hall to remind everyone of this amazing bit of just human compassion, human decency. And it stands to this day. So, and there's more than just that as far as Finnish Californian history is concerned. So I think it would be really cool to, have some of that. And like with the Russian embassy, one of the big things that got pointed out to us once we did that by people here in California were things like, oh, well, it only makes sense because we've got the Russian River up here, which was named because Russian fur traders were up and down that river. And, we have the first fort or whatever that was built in California.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fort Ross.
Yeah.
Russian fur trading outpost. That at that time, fur trading was like gold trading. Like you might as well be dealing in gold bars.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really they were the backbone of that part, right? And everywhere we go in California history, we can find examples like this. And I think this is, and again, it speaks to Indigenous nations, right? I would love to be working with every single Indigenous nation of California to make sure that, one, we have some outreach with them so that if they have, if our homo friends have some issues, we can start helping champion homo issues. If the Miwok or the Maidu, right, they have issues, we'll know because we're actively in a partnership, a relationship, a friendship, right? And we can then start to help champion their cause and help shed light on these issues and help get actual change.
Yeah.
It also makes me think that we would probably be insane not to reach out to Mexico proper. I mean, we've got work we're doing with the folks in Baja who have reached out, and we are in the process of starting to formulate a plan on how to open our cultural embassies together, hopefully this summer, but no later than the end of the year. So, you know, it is a surefire thing when a nation comes to us, a representative of, you know, a people come to us and say, hey, we support, we would love to work with, will you work with us? Yes, 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 and yes.
Yeah.
Why do you think they call us yes?
Yes. Yeah.
So, other nations I would like to see. Obviously, I have some very personal feelings with Armenia and some very deep love for the Armenian people and their culture. And Germany and Armenia have some very, very, very old ties, pre-Crusade kind of relationship going. And being of predominantly Germanic descent, right? I feel that much more drawn to them. So I would love to see us work with Armenians. And again, there are a lot of Armenian Californians. Not that long ago, while fighting was still going on in Artsakh, the president of France gave a speech to the world, really, about what was going on, about the violence, and about how the Armenian people had had to flee from their own country, their own nation, their own homeland for generations, to the point where Armenians live in Armenia and they live in Artsakh, and then a large portion of Armenians throughout the world live in Belgium, they live in France, they live in California.
Right.
He names off nations where Armenians live that are outside of Armenia. And he does not say the United States of America in there at all. He does say very specifically California.
I love that story.
And so, because of that, I also want to include France. I also learned how to cook from a French chef, Sebastian. Well, maybe I shouldn't say his full name, but he's a very gifted, wonderful French man who was born and raised in Nice. I met him here in California, and we both decided that there was no feud based on German blood versus French blood, even though we both knew about that being a thing. My interest was learning learning this very valuable skill that he has, that he's developed over his life. And his interest was having a student for the first time.
Hey, I got
Not just any student, a willing one. Yeah, okay. So, France, I would like to reach out to Germany, just, being predominantly Germanislav, but,
Yeah.
Are there any other nations? Obviously, we've got Mexico on here now as well. We're going to next week start talking about how to properly reach out to all of Central and South Americas, based on the resolution.
Right.
Is there anything else? Anyone you can think of that? Oh, what about India?
I mean, reaching out to everyone's great. It's who do you think you have a real chance of getting to respond back to?
Yeah.
That's how I would say to focus your effort on.
Okay.
But it's up to
we
you.
do have a good list to start with. That's for sure. And it's just a starting point.
Sure. Yeah, it's just a starting point. It's one thing to say, hey, let's get Belgium to respond. It's a whole other thing to actually do it. So some of these countries have a national interest in recognizing an independence movement. New Caledonia, Scotland, Catalonia, Iceland, Kurdistan, South Africa, Cape Town, etc. And if a country does not have a reason to recognize an independent country, and if they have a reason to not do that, then it is worth being cognizant of that when you're thinking about how to spend your time.
You make a great point there, my brother.
I'm just saying. So.
Yeah, no, those are wise words. Spoken firsthand from some experience.
Well, I mean, it's a balancing act, and it's not exactly a science; it's an art. It's not a formula.
Yeah.
For example, France is a European country, and normally that would mean they're not going to say anything against U.S. of A. Except it's France, and they like poking little pokes at America. So that's why they did that thing about Armenia and California, which makes them probably more likely to respond to an independent California than any of the other European countries, like Germany or England. But I could be wrong. But that's the point. You're trying to guess where their sentiment is when you're judging who you're going to spend time on. It's an art.
Yeah. Wow. Well, and that also kind of goes to the angles, right? Angle and spin, and how can we make sure that folks in other nations know that an independent California is in their best interest?
Right. Yeah.
But that's a topic for another day. It is getting late. It's been almost 1 hour, so and I know you've had a long day. We've all had a long day. I'll go ahead and close out the meeting. I would invite you to go ahead and give us any sort of closing thoughts you may have, if you'd like.
It's very awesome to work with people who are very quickly understanding how to run the committees all on their own. And I'm just blown away at how quickly things are evolving. I really think that we're sitting on something that's about to go viral. And I mean this whole effort with all of us. And you've been a pivotal leadership with that and an inspiration to work with.
Well, thank you.
I'll get too emotional.
I'm honored.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I know you're not one who tries to blow sunshine on my kilt, so there's enough sunshine up there already.
Okay. This is live. So don't walk us out and then I'll do the closing commercial.
So with that, everyone, thank you for joining us. This has been the International Outreach Committee meeting for Yes California's CalExit Congress. And the day's date again has been March the 21st of 2021. Have a good evening and stay safe.